It is now at the time where William is ready to give Daenerys the prognosis and what the cure is for the sensation she's going through. But the first thing he does, because it is something he had promised her, is he sits down and writes on a scroll off the top of his head a decree that perhaps she could approve, and yet she would not be violating any type of custom regarding a legitimate marriage practice. Because since he is not of the world and cannot go back to his own, then she technically would not be violating any custom because she had approved of him to sit at her right hand following in her stead. And therefore, any decree that he makes, of course, would have to be approved by her. And therefore, if she approved it, it would not be her who made the decree, but her human husband, William Bruce Targaryen. As he finished up, he finally then goes to the meeting room and sees her standing on the balcony. Daenerys, she turns and looks at him, somewhat serious. I think I may have found something that you might find quite pleasing. So she walks inside, and as he puts it on the table, she looks down, looking at it. Would you care to look it over? So she sits down, looking up at him. Is this the decree regarding the legitimacy of our historical marriage? Yes. Again, I can't tell you what to do, Daenerys, but because you are the queen, it is your decision. But if it meets certain expectations, well, then you would be relieved to know then there would be no claim of illegitimacy just because I don't have the bloodline of Targaryen. So she looks down then and begins reading it. And after reading it for quite some time, looks back up again. I do like this. What do you think, Missandei? Well, I guess I think this could be a major change on how one is married in the House of Targaryen. So she hands it over to Missandei, who then reads, and she reads the same thing, then hands it back to Daenerys. This will be a major change, I suppose. When he returns, as I'm sure he will not be happy. Well, he will just have to accept it. And I'm looking at William. And you have again amazed me, William. I think you are maturing a bit. Well, I hope I do well. And though I'm not very versed in kingdom politics, I hope that this pleases you. Yes, it has. And she watches William walk out. After she dismisses him, I will be along shortly. So he waits outside the throne room. And she, of course, goes through the back way. And then Missandei motions for him to step forward. And he does. And as he's doing so, Daenerys watches as the one of the three who had been here before comes in, followed by the Precept. Are you ready to acknowledge that the marriage is illegitimate? I'm ready to acknowledge that which is or is not legitimate. But first, I believe there's an important decree that needs to be made, and then a decision will be made. William then comes in as she's looking up at him. William trying to keep a straight face, and she sees he's trying to serious because this is like a plan that hasn't been tried. He humbly bows his head before her and then proceeds to step in front of her. And then he informs the Precept of the decree. How well do you know of the marriage custom? I mean, I do acknowledge the fact that you are right. The Queen Daenerys here knows that she hasn't got the authority to change such a custom, and that one must be a pure-blood Targaryen. It was, I guess, from my understanding of history, that one that she had, though I do not intend to dig up painful past, was stripped of land and title because she was born of one risen from the dead, a Jon Snow, who I've never met. And he was not pure-blood Targaryen. So yes, she does acknowledge this. But what if there was a decree? She cannot make the decree because she hasn't got the authority to do so. She knows that the one to hold the position for which you stand must be of pure Targaryen bloodline. That may be true. So, if a decree was made not by her, what say you then? No such decree would ever be recognized. Are you so sure? The last I recall, and if you would have done your homework, perhaps you would have understood something. See, in my world, Precept, I cannot hold the throne. This was one concern she had even before our historical wedding, because my heraldry forbids it. In my world, being a duke of a clan called the McEachrons, we were merely bodyguards to the royal family, but we're only under extreme circumstances would we ever hold the throne. So in which case then, knowing the fact, as I have been honest with her, that I cannot hold the throne, this is why we did get married. Not because it was a historical moment, but because of my heraldry. She adopted it and accepted it, and therefore permitted me, much like a queen, although in transverse, I sit at the right hand and fall on her stead. It is also my understanding, though I be human, and not of your world, that her decision is final, and thus, if I should make a decree, I still have to run it by her for approval. Therefore, if I make a decree, and she did not make a decree, and yet she approved it, my decree is still valid because of the permitted position she has allowed me to have, sitting at the right hand, falling in her stead. And what decree do you think this would be? Well, if you'll permit me, I shall go ahead and read it. Very well, if you think it has any weight to stand on. Oh, I'm sure you'll get the point of this. Daenerys then looks down with a smile. And so then William begins. Change of marriage custom decree for House of Targaryen. It is hereby decreed by approval of our queen, Daenerys Stormborn of the House of Targaryen, best known as your Misha, the great Khaleesi, mother of dragons, who has permitted me, a mere human, who cannot return to his world, to live out the remainder of my days in your world, to make this change of marriage custom for the House of Targaryen. I am William Bruce Targaryen, formerly known as McEachran, a human from the dark blue star that shines brightly in the Valyrian night sky, known as Earth, 5 times smaller than your own world, and to which I have pledged my allegiance, to which Queen Daenerys has accepted, thus having chosen me as her suitor, and allowing me to blend a mixing of marriage customs of my world with hers, to which I pledged my heart, mind, soul, and life, to defend our queen in any given circumstances, even if it means my very own life, and to defend and champion her when either her honor or mine is challenged. Thus let the record show that it is confirmed I am not of your world, nor of any pure bloodline of Targaryen, but human of my kind. And further, that it is confirmed Daenerys cannot make a decree based on the custom that a man must be of the same pure bloodline in order for the marriage to be legitimate. However, it should also be noted that since my human heraldry forbids me to take the throne, be it my world of Earth or Daenerys' world, she approved of my heraldry and adopted it, to which she granted me the right to sit at her right hand, following in her stead, and as in my human custom, to take her last name of Targaryen, which entitles me to make a decree as deemed necessary, but only after such time Queen Daenerys has approved of the decree of which I may propose. He looks up at her, and she looks down at him again with a smile. Then he looks back towards the Precept. Having acknowledged myself her supreme authority, I have thus made this proposal of my own free human will, and upon approval, this then shall be made clear that Daenerys Stormborn of the House of Targaryen did not violate the laws of the marriage custom, since it is I, her human husband, by historical marriage records, that makes this decree for all time. Therefore, from this day forward and for all time, never again shall the Targaryen marriage custom require that one be of pure bloodline in order to marry one of royalty in the House of Targaryen. That in fact, the very least, one should hold not less than 25% of the bloodline. Moreover, if one cannot be found of the bloodline, then it shall be required, based upon one's own heraldry, that they at least hold the royal bloodline of a duke or duchess, to which is one step lower than that of a prince or princess. Hence, this shall be the new improved marriage custom from this day forward for generations yet to come. Thus, upon being presented publicly in the throne room before all dignitaries, historian, and those of whom protect the ruling of Queen Daenerys with her final approval, I shall relinquish this decree to be entered into the palace records to symbolize its final effect for immediate installation. You can't do that. Can't? Daenerys didn't seem pleased about this at all. Last I remember, I'm queen, and I sit on the throne, and no one tells me what I can and cannot do. I beg your pardon, my queen. What I meant to say is, you can't deny, I guess, this decree is legitimate, and I shall go ahead and accept this. I think that's very wise of you at this time. I believe this gentleman needs to be shown the way out of the palace in the city. Yes, I think you're right. And so with that having been said, he escorts the guard and the Precept out of the throne room. She kind of looks at William strangely. How is it you come up with this? I really am interested. Well, you said that you could not make the decree because the custom held you from doing so. Because if I understood history correctly, and I am, as you said, doing well on my lessons to blend in your world, well, then I'm starting to get a little more of a hang of wisdom and how your kingdom's politics works. Therefore, since I am permitted to sit at the right hand falling in your stead, you permit me to make a decree, and this being the first, well, then you didn't violate any custom. You, of course, have informed me that no favoritism can be shown when I sign the document of your laws. That is correct. I did do this. Well, that means also there would be no favoritism in any decree I make because your authority is final based on whatever decision you make. If I were to make the decree, because I'm not of your world, and you approve it, you have violated nothing. Therefore, you cannot be liable for whom you are married to, which is me, and I can make the decree only upon your approval. You have spoken well, William. I am very impressed by this. So she comes up close to William. I know I'm not supposed to do this, but since everyone has cleared the throne room, am I about to be in trouble? You could be. She leans forward and gives William a kiss for the longest time. I like your thinking, William. You are starting to blend in well. And so, as she's real close to William after kissing him, William then informs her, I have some more news for you, but with your permission, I have to go get the notes, as I have been in discussion with the visionary, a solution to your other problem. Very well then, I shall wait for you in the meeting room. Don't be long. Yes, my queen. And so, with that, they both then depart from the throne room. As William was making his way back to the throne room, he comes upon Sansa, who seems a little bit distressed. Are you okay? Yes, I had to help the queen with some, as best I could, decisions. She was having difficulty, as if she was trying to focus and couldn't. I feel that she's not feeling well. Do you happen to know why? I do, but I had to seek certain advice, and I have done certain research for which all I can say is that because I am sworn to secrecy, because the research I did may have been forbidden me, but is something that it will not be held against me, because my concern is also for the Queen's well-being. I know something that I must do, though it could be a risk to my own life, and it is something regarding her lineage, the things she's going through, for which is considered not normal. I know Targaryens have emotions almost similar to that of humans. If a loss of a loved one, or through treachery, or someone they're close to, yes, they will show emotions of this. But the emotion that I have seen on her is considered not normal, because it would be much like a human emotion, for which I am accustomed to seeing off and on from my world. And since your world is a place of usually much peace, what we call depression is not something that is considered normal for your world, because your world is not like mine, where depression is considered a norm. It happens not all the time, but off and on at certain occasions. This depression, of course, from what I understand, may be unhealthy to her, but I told her I would find an answer, and I have, through much research and confidence of one who has wisdom. But that's all I'm allowed to say. I see. Where is the queen now? Well, she finally got to the point where she just didn't feel well, and did not feel that she could continue any further. So she has gone to her chambers and to confide with her handmaiden. All right, then, I shall head there, because I must give her news of what I have discovered. All right, then. Well, I hope maybe perhaps you will be able to help her through this difficult time, as I have tried myself. I will give it my best. And so with that, William continues on. When he gets to her chambers, which is actually also his chambers, he sees her out on the balcony, confiding in with the handmaiden. He tries not to listen in, but the handmaiden looks over her right shoulder and notices William standing there, and the handmaiden puts her hand gently on Khaleesi's right hand. Khaleesi then looks over her left shoulder and notices William. Forgive me for interrupting. Khaleesi, I have found the answer. May I come forward? Yes, William, you may. William then grabs a chair to put up to a table that is also at the balcony so that all three may sit down together. Will you join me? All right. So Khaleesi sits down, and so does the handmaiden. William then takes her by the hand and gently brushes hair from her forehead. The handmaiden, for the first time, gets to see this romantic sensation that William gives her firsthand and has a slight smile to this. I have found an answer. You know, of course, that not only have I sworn my allegiance to you, I sworn my love to you, and I had promised you my life. Yes, William. She looks at him kind of as if he is about to say something that she's not ready for, but with a slight smile. Well, I have confided in someone who has sworn me to secrecy that only he and I may know, and that you may know. And I'm sure the handmaiden here, you trust her that she will not reveal things that I'm about to reveal to you. Yes, she is good at keeping things confident. Very well then. You do not need to worry, Missandei, because now that I've learned your name, and she seems delighted, you finally learned my name. Yes, well, I'm slowly learning. She kind of laughs about this a bit. But perhaps it will do you good to sit here as well, because since you are close to her like a friend, it will give her comfort as well. Then William looks back at Khaleesi in her beautiful dark eyes. There is good news and not so good news. Okay, so what is the not so good news? Well, there is a ritual, but it was only legend and has never been practiced. The first part of the legendary ritual is that the reason you no longer have control of your dragons is because they are taking on a life of their own. They may come to still recognize you as the mother of dragons because you are their mother, because you were at the same time born of this fire. In my world, we used to have a saying. Usually it regarded, of course, people of my kind, though, that there comes a time in a human's life that if you love someone so much, you must be willing to let them go. And if it is meant to be, they shall return. I'm not sure if these are words of wisdom, but in this case, for your world, and you being Targaryen, regarding your dragons, the two that you do have in confinement, if you love your two dragons very much, though I can understand why you might show fear, which I have been told this is also not a normal emotion for a Targaryen, because this can also be unhealthy to you as much as the sense of loss you have, that you may have to be willing to let them go, and this time let them stay free. I know you don't support or agree in slavery. My people, though we had such things happen, agree the same. symbolically, as I'm learning about how symbolism is everything in your world, perhaps keeping the dragons chained up, and even though they are taking a life of their own, you have no longer control of them, would be kind of like slavery. They are creatures to be admired, but perhaps they need their freedom. And if it is meant to be, they will come and visit you. Khaleesi takes in these words of wisdom quite well and kind of straightens her posture a bit, with eyebrows raised, as this seems to be delighting her. Please continue. Well, that is, of course, the bad news. You have to let them go. And the good news is that there is a ritual. I know the risks because I am human, as you already know from long ago when I had thought I had to prove my loyalty to you a second time. Yes, that was not exactly wise on your part, but it's because you were expecting me to give you some kind of answer, though that is not our way. Yes, I understand. And, well, you know that my blood burns red and hot. It's because of my world. Humans' blood has the element of copper, and I'm pretty sure I told you this. Yes, your blood being darker has, from what I understand, the element of iron. The second part of the ritual, though it is only legend and has not been practiced, it is called the Walk of Wisdom. It is a path, probably, I'm guessing, not as long as the Walk of the Coals of Fire, but after doing some more research after he told me this, and I know, and hope you'll forgive me, I know there are certain things that is forbidden me because I am not of the lineage of Targaryen, though it would be available to any children we have, as is the custom of the people of Targaryens, because you come from a very well, and this is why I now see that my complimenting you as a goddess would be almost pretty much true. And so as William smiled, she has a big smile now. Your people would be considered like gods and goddesses because you were able to ride dragons. Nobody of your world would be able to do such things. And there is symbology that you and the dragons are like almost one because of the connection you have to them. And for you not to have control of dragons, as it was explained to me, would be like any people of your world or myself having a loss, or like having a finger cut off. This can greatly affect you into a mood what we humans would call depression. But because your world being supposedly of peace, or at least not like that of my world, depression is not considered a normal thing of your world. And this too would affect your health, possibly to the point where it would cost you your rightful claim to the throne. So I have found a way to curb this and to recharge your spirit. When we walk the path of wisdom, it is a fire, much greater than what I have walked. We would, of course, have to, according to what I learned after I had spoken with someone of this advice, we would have to do like I did in the Coals of Fire. We would have to walk arm in arm naked. You know this could be dangerous because the fire is not like walking coals of fire. This fire is something that, though I cannot be burned by fire, could cause you injury. Yes, but I have faith in you, Khaleesi. I know that your powers are still stronger than mine, and that though I don't have the senses you do, I love you very much, and I know that you would not let any harm come to me. It is through this faith that will probably save you then, and we shall have this walk. The symbology, other than the walk of wisdom, is that our blood must be heated when we come to the end of the walk. We are to have our arms around each other, and one of the robed ritual lords for whom this person I spoke to, this visionary of your palace, says that he has the ability to go speak to them because they are such a private, I guess, people, being that of a society, like when we walk the coals of fire. That is true. Well, they have to cut my hand, my right hand, and they have to cut your left. The blood mixing ritual requires us to have our hands clasped together with our fingers intertwined. The blood, as it mingles, must drop between between your breasts through your cleavage, because there is symbology here that as the blood drops on your heart, I am recharging your spirit with hope and strength that you shall maintain the throne. At the same time, I am also giving you the symbology that you will still maintain the title Mother of Dragons, but you will not need the dragons to prove this. People have already come to love you, and I'm sure they will love you still. The mingling of the blood has significance too. This is all new to me because I'm only human. So hopefully I'm choosing my words carefully because I'm trying to recall everything that I have read. The fact that my blood is human and yours is Targaryen, as it mixes, I am basically giving you part of that which you have awoken in me. It would be considered the awakening of your dragon spirit, because you will have part dragon sphere, the spirit of my dragon from my world, in you through my blood, and you being the mother of dragons, mixing with my blood gives you your dragon spirit. I see. And you do understand the risks then? Yes, I was told that because your blood has iron, it could be poisonous to mine. But because I love you so much, I'm willing to risk my life for you. I can't stand to see you in such a state. And you need not worry, I'm not going to abandon you. Yes, I know. You have been very faithful, and I love you very much, William, because you are willing to do so much for me. Well then, would you be willing to go through with this? And I shall give you the power that you need to continue to rule. Yes, I would think I would. Well, good. See, Khaleesi, in my world, during what we call the Dark Ages, though many kings and queens of my heraldry, all the way back to the time of the legendary King Arthur of Camelot, though they never saw the dragon, they had come to the understanding that they did not need dragons to keep their throne or have a ruling. And so they continued to rule well. I believe that this would be the same for you. Whether you actually have control of the dragons or not, this should not be the factor for having your throne. As I have been proven myself to you that I am not allowed to have your throne, and you have adopted my heraldry, hopefully I will have also proven through my words that you will still be the mother of dragons, because that which was born with you, 3 dragons, along with you being born of fire, will not change. They are merely just taking a life of their own. And as many creatures of your world have freedom, perhaps they are to have freedom. I know that probably some things may happen, and there's not much that can be done, but if maybe we were able to find a way to let the people know of how to properly move, they will not look like prey for the dragons to feast on. I can do research on this if you would permit me, so that I can let others know to share the training. Yes, that would be good. This would be a good resolve. You continue to amaze me, William. You seem to, though you don't have the IQ as you see in me, to be very intelligent. Well, I'd like to think some of it came from you. And they both smile at each other. William, you are a very unique person of your world, and I appreciate the things and how you speak to me. You never cease to amaze me in the things you do. I will walk this path of wisdom with you, and my power that I have will protect you from this, so long as we stay close, and we will go through the ritual together. So what is it we must do first? Well, according to what I understand, we have to first set your dragons free. It is the first step to the ritual. Very well then. When shall this take place? Well, I believe I have to, there is a type of banquet that has to take place, because I'm almost nearly done with my lessons. At the end of the banquet, this is when we do the walk of fire, but only after the dragons have been set free. Very well then. We will finish out the day of things that need to be done, and then we will go to the first step and set the dragons free. And then after that, we will go from there for the blood mixing ritual through the walk of the path of wisdom. That is good. And I hope that this gift that I give you for that which you have woken in me may prove to you my continuous love for you. There is nothing I would not do for you. Yes, William, I know this. That is why I continue to love you more every day. No man would ever have done such a thing for me. And I love you, William. And I love you too, Khaleesi. So let not your heart be troubled. You will get through this, just as I have gotten through the lifting of the veil. And you will be back to yourself again, and you will be continued as a supreme queen and ruler of a people for which you are destined to rule, to meet injustice with justice, and you will still have your rightful claim to the throne. And I will continue to obey every command you give me. And I am still yours, and you are still mine. And this delighted her that I would bring this up as well. So with that, they hug each other and kiss for the longest time. The handmaiden, of course, looks side to side, not knowing what to say or do, because she has a big grin on her face. Well then, William, you have spoken well, and perhaps your words of wisdom has brought me a little bit of encouragement and lifted some of my spirits. Although I know this is not the entire cure for my symptom, I accept this. All right then. Well, with your permission, then I will take my leave so that you may continue discussing whatever it is you need to discuss with your handmaiden, because I know this is a private thing that only you and your handmaiden usually discuss, whatever it is, and I know it's not my business. Khaleesis kind of laughs a bit. So, as a man, I know I can't be present when you have conversations with her, so I will take my leave with her permission. Yes, you can go. And thank you, William, for all that you have done. And perhaps after all is said and done with this ritual, I may reward you as well. Well, I look forward to this. And so with that, she seemed to be a little bit more in a cheerful mood, and with a bigger smile now. William knew what he had to do, because always it wouldn't last long. So, after having confided in Khaleesi about the legendary ritual of the blood mixing, he had to finish out the day of his duties and lessons, and then will be ready for this ritual to take place. After William had walked down, Khaleesi then asked Missandei, "Okay, so where were we then?" "Well, you were telling me how you had this feeling of loss and that you're having a hard time focusing, and that this sensation you were having, because you're, again, at the point where people will not believe you can hold the throne because you're not able to control your dragons." "Yes." She thinks for a moment. "Is there something wrong?" "No, I'm thinking. I think I have new insight. Though it was kind of somewhat improper for William to interrupt, I am glad he did." "So what's the insight you have now?" "Well, I have come to appreciate William for the things he does. He always seems to work so hard to do things for me, and now he's willing to risk his life because his blood being red hot of humans with this thing element called copper to mix with mine, though it be dangerous and could be poisonous because our blood is not like that of a human's. And the fact he's willing to do a dangerous walk with me through this path of wisdom. But as I told him, and I do believe in this, his faith in me may save him because I do have at least power that is stronger than his. It has now stirred something in me that I cannot explain." "You're not having second thoughts, are you?" "No. I have come to realize that his love for me is so moving. I don't know how to put it into words. No man has ever made me feel this before. With your permission, Queen, may I speak freely?" "Yes, of course you can. You are my friend." "Well, I have oftentimes told you good words of wisdom, I hope, and you have. Well, I have had things stirred in me as well." "You have?" Khaleesi seems a little surprised on this. "Yes, but it's not because of what you feel for your William. It's because of what I've witnessed." "Well, please explain." "Well, as I noticed for the first time, because it's the first time I've seen this, him brushing the hair slightly to your face, and how he talks softly to you with very kind words, and the way he caresses your hands, I have seen this for the first time. I can only sense, because of what's stirring in me now, that he has a great, great love for you. I don't know if it would be unhealthy for him to show that much love, but it's like he treats you as if you cannot do anything wrong. Yes, I know. And I think he has once told me this. He sometimes puts me on a very high status, something I'm not used to that a man would do. Well, the way he looks into your eyes and everything, this also has caused me to be stirred by his actions towards you. He loves you so much that he's willing to risk his life for you, and he works so hard to do things for you. Yes, I cannot put into words this what thing that I feel as well. It's as if he has to do something all the time, and though it's not necessary, but I appreciate the things he does. Though he does strange mating rituals, they both start laughing. And he has strange human customs. And though I've had to confiscate this device, um, although the second time was my fault when we were on this honeymoon, he is very unique. And though I've said this before, he never ceases to amaze me. But the words he spoke now, though I do not have the gift of foresight, I feel as I have new insight, like he has given me courage. New courage, anyway. And that symbolism is everything. For us to go through with this ritual, which he had to work very hard for, and only being human, and, well, there are certain customs that are ancient that we just don't practice anymore, and are legendary. He had to work really hard to find this. And so I will allow him to continue to do what he thinks he can do to help me. He tries so hard, and I do accept this. And it's not that I haven't loved him before, but this is something new that stirs in me. It's as if he really does worship the ground I walk on. Is this wrong? No. He probably does worship the ground you walked on. I know. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle this. But I do love the way he treats me and speaks to me. And because he wants to do this for me, I will see it through. Perhaps we will have many children, even with the strange things he does. Yes, I guess so. I had told him once, and I'm sure I've told you this before, that I couldn't promise him all of my heart because of being very close to my first husband. But now that I think about it, with him wanting to give me this new symbolical form of power, to which I would not need dragons to maintain my rightful claim to the throne, and people will still come to love me and accept me because I was born with the dragons of fire, my status would remain as he said. And even though I have not made mention of it, if I am with child, and when the time comes and I announce this to him, that which he will be giving me symbolically of a new form of power, and the fact that we will have children, at least the first, perhaps I should give him all of my heart. My first husband will always have a place in my heart. Do you think this is wrong? No. In fact, he'd probably really love to hear you say this, although I can't guarantee he probably might not have such a feeling for you after you tell him this, that He might even walk the halls rubbing his ribs and his butt again. They both start laughing about this. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope he doesn't do this again. But should he do this, I would really like to know about this. Oh, I guarantee you I will definitely let you know. Well, um, yes, I think I will tell him this. And it would be good to see his reaction or even hear about it from you. But I feel as though now I have new encouragement and I will see this through. And I think you will do well, my queen. In fact, he even said you'll be back to yourself and with this new form of power because you'll have the blood of him mingling with yours and that which you awoken in him, part of his dragon spirit, this gives you a dragon spirit too then. Yes, he has given me so much. Well then, I guess I will go ahead and take my leave of you, and you need not worry, I already know, this is in confidence. Thank you. So with that, they part. After sitting for a moment, she walks over to the railing, and as she did when they had first met, her arms floated like that of angel wings onto the railing, and she stares out, this time not as in the mood that she has gone in for loss, but something that she's about to gain, and a big smile comes across her face. For this would be a new form of power that comes through the mingling of blood, a very symbolic and ancient ritual to which she would take much delight in, and causes her to fall in a very, very deeper love for William. She accepts the fact that it wouldn't matter if any man tried to swoon her. She would not give in to such temptations because her love is with William now, and because he's willing to give so much even if it meant his own life. This is what true love is about. During the lunchtime, Khaleesi and William talked in a low, hushed tone because the ritual that would take place would be as private and obviously not spoken of in public as it was for me when I had to walk the coals of fire. Symbology being everything in her world, palace sandals would be worn at one end of the path, and she would be in a red robe and William in a gray. This symbology would show that they are shedding that of old from both their worlds to be united as one, and me giving her part of that which she has awoken in me. Then, at the end of the walk, naked, we would have our arms around each other and our hands, after being cut, bound together, and that I had to hold her hands in the center of us so that the blood drops of our blood mixing would drip between her breasts, and I had to use specific symbolical wording. Then I would have to then stretch her arm out while bound to her, my hand to hers, as though we were going to do a dance, and enter another symbolical wording, which would then finalize the power that I would be recharging within her. She accepts this and understands. Then, at the end of lunch, all preparations were being made for the dress attire. At the end of the legendary ritual of the mixing of blood, our hands would be freed, our wounds cared for, and she would receive then a black robe trimmed in red, which is the Targaryen color like her banner. Being that I am human and come from a dark blue star, My robe would be blue, trimmed in gray, and thus would conclude the legendary uh, ritual of the mixing of blood. So with the order of these type of symbolical dress attire for how the ritual is to be performed, everything seemed to be ready. The next thing now was to do the first step of the ritual, releasing the two dragons.